Are we? I don't see us live yet.
Oh, that's good here.
Maybe I should refresh.
We might be live. Welcome to the show, everybody who may or may not be out there.
We're live. We're live. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
Welcome to this super special Top Deck Heroes on this fine Sunday afternoon. We've got special Canadian heel turn in attendance.
The reunion of champions.
Say hi, boys. Say hi.
What is up? Coming at you live from the Rochester CCG channel. Your boy Piglet here. How is everyone tonight? Or this afternoon?
And what up from up north?
We have the elusive Devin Bernier here in attendance. And also, of course, I haven't said my name yet, Kevin Broberg. Lots of time champion. Whatever. Here to present. No further ado, screw it. We're putting up the champ card. We've got
no further ado. Throw up the champ card.
Throw it down.
Here is Pulled My Trigger, a 3 difficulty 4 check asset. You got a +3 high block. We got the hot keywords weapon and unique. And a special ability: when you block with this card, your opponent destroys one ready face-up foundation. And then, as an enhance, you can destroy one foundation to give your attack +3 damage. And as an additional price, for the rest of the turn, you cannot play non-attack cards as forms. So
you better commit to it.
You say, we're killing you this turn. You're throwing your stationary at them, and you're throwing away your soul too. You can't build. You can't back out.
You
gotta sell out.
You gotta fully sell out.
That's right. That's right. You see this art? This art is selling out, and that's what you gotta do too.
Oh man. All right. Well, let's just go in and start talking about it a little bit. The first thing is I'll talk a little bit about the E. So before, back a long time ago, it seems like a long time now.
It was a long time.
In 2013, I played my Omar deck, which is one of the best decks that I've ever built. And basically, I played Yimberfang in that deck, and I would use Omar to pitch it. And I would play this sick low difficulty throw curve and just dump my staging area into it with Yimberfang. So it was always like a tiny little dream of mine when it rotated that I wanted to reprint Yimberfang one day. And thanks to Kevin Broberg and Devin Bernier, they helped me do it. And the other ability I'll let them talk about because they're like scumbag Psyche and Black Justice players, and that's sort of what that shit does.
So we actually designed that part of the card, the block trigger. We designed that first by a long shot. That got sorted out really early on in the design of this.
Even when we were throwing a bunch of abilities and up and just being like, we don't know what we want to do with it. Like as soon as that one popped up, we were like, this is one of them. Yeah. We're gonna work around this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So. And what actually, I feel like almost the biggest inspiration here was we wanted to have a static effect that would trigger on blocks so that we could play it with Kaden at the absolute opposite end of the spectrum. And you might notice we shared 3 symbols with 3-dot promotional Kaden.
Yep. And that was a nice little shout out that the guys, well, we all like the symbols too.
Yeah.
But
yeah, these symbols mean something too.
Yeah, Kevin and Devin, they put the symbols they won on with, and Earth is my favorite symbol. So I wanted Earth to have this card over Fire, which is the symbol I won with, Fire Order technically. But that's the reason it's static text. I know everyone hates static text, but blame Jasco Games for not printing Kaden correctly because he can only trigger off of static text.
Hey, and it hadn't occurred to me until just now, but I set up a UFS Ultra overlay too, and we're gonna make use of that right now. Let me just find the window where I had it open. Did I close the window? I had it open. I think I closed the window. I had it open. So actually, we're going to reset that back up. But there's also, I just realized aerial defense exists too. And that is a pretty hot combo with this. Does the exact same thing as Kaden.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yes.
Yeah, and if you guys haven't figured out now, basically what we're going to do for this little special Top Deck Heroes episode is we're going to do some shameless self-promotion of our new card, Pulled My Trigger. So we are going to tell you the best ways to play it and the little tricks and combos and cool stuff it can do, because we want tons of people to play Pulled My Trigger, and we want millions of people to buy it from RochesterCCG.com.
all 80 of them.
Yeah, I think millions might be a little ambitious for the number that exists, but certainly we want them to have to go back to, when they start offering these through drive-through cards or whatever 3 months after the exclusive period ends.
Look,
we want this thing to be sold out 10 times over. We're gonna set up a print-on-demand shop. That's our goal.
Kevin Broberg, when we're out of our 500 copies week 1 over how nasty this card is, we're going to need to print millions.
I feel like there's a Rock joke in there somewhere trying to get out.
Oh, Sean O'Brien, The Rock, and his millions of champ cards. He's on champ cards he didn't even play on the team for. So let's talk to do you guys want to talk strategy more, or do you want to talk to the art for a sec?
Let's talk the art, and then we can go into a bunch of strategy.
So, Sean O'Brien looms large, obviously, in this art, this picture. We thought, so he sponsored the team. He kind of, I know this is like, you love this storyline, Piglet, of Sean O'Brien, the evil UFS mastermind.
Yeah. So,
we had this figure, we had the art for this, like, we came up with this really early on, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is really, we really like Sean is kind of creating a UFS persona of himself in the actual cards themselves, as well as real life UFS, where, he's like, he buys people in, and he's like a little bit of a scumbag, and like, he's trying to get the best players to win championships and stuff. So, the idea behind the card art, the name ideas we had to the card, it all goes back to back before we even started playing. So basically, I've been sponsored by Rochester since 2014, and Kevin has been sponsored by Rochester since day one.
Yeah, like Rochester CCG, Sean started this business because we combined our collections together, and then we had a bunch of extras, and he started moving them on eBay, and then it just organically grew and grew until now he's now he's a distributor. Now he runs a single store. Now he's responsible for supplying stores all across the country with cards, on top of being the biggest singles retailer and the number one place for UFS products.
I actually knew this. He's actually Jasco Games' biggest customer.
Yeah.
So that's, big time. So
I've actually never heard this story before either.
The idea behind was I kind of came up with a team name in our little team chat, and I said, well, Kevin and I are already like, scumbag heels that play for Rochester, and I'm not even from Rochester, and I play for Rochester because, your boy Piglet plays for the highest bidder. So the idea behind the team was that we were going to have a Canadian heel turn, which was Devin. Devin is the butler. He puts up with Garrett's shit, so he's like, everyone like feels a little bit bad for him because of that, and they love him and want to pet him like a little dog.
He's the being down underdog of the Calgary community.
And he's Canadian, so he's really nice. And then we turned him. That Sean O'Brien American money got to him, and now he's some scarf-wearing asshole that no one likes.
So is this like a prediction of how Sami Zayn's gonna turn out in a few months?
Oh! I sure hope so. I want to see the belt on that man.
I hope Sean O'Brien is on the WWE, and then he hands Sami Zayn an orange shirt, and then he like kicks people in the face. Oh man, that is the dream.
Oh man, the big time. We're selling Rochester CCG merch at WWE shows in front of the WWE official merch. Oh yes.
Barry, your question was, when does this card release and where can I get it? This card is number 11. If you see on it, it's number 11 of Champion Batch 4. So we will release with everyone else. I believe we went to print on Friday, if I'm not mistaken. And everyone else, I think, went to print a week earlier.
Yep.
So we are going to basically probably just be printed a week later. So, from what I've heard, our card will technically be legal July 1st, but they might not be in our hands until I think the latest they said was maybe July 15th.
Yeah, so this card will be tournament legal on July 1st. It'll be very difficult to find, very difficult to acquire. But if you're doing a local proxy tournament or something, you can it is technically sanctioned to put it in a deck list as of July 1st, and just the card availability. If you live in Texas or something, it's going to be pretty hard to get copies of this card on day one of any of the champ cards on day one. So it's like as soon as you get them, then they're available or then they're legal.
I don't know how many other groups use or how often proxies are used. We proxy stuff up all the time here, just bring out the real cards when we go to a real event.
Yeah,
I don't some people are really against that, and some people don't care. So it's proxy the card up if you want to play it.
We're really in favor of that.
We'll get it to you eventually.
In Atlanta.
We'll get it to you eventually.
Yeah, we'll get it eventually. We're really in favor of that in Atlanta, but lately we've been doing this circuit, which has a plane ticket on the line, so it's no proxy.
Yeah,
yep.
Which is fair.
And hopefully also, what had occurred to me just now is that we got to get these into Octagon, and maybe someday that'll happen. Along with Street Fighter.
I don't know what the deal is with Octagon. There was another program that I just used for personal use with myself and my roommate at the time. It was called Lackey CCG. And so I have experience with updating that, so if there's some kind of problem or something, I should try to get in contact with.
Yeah, the Octagon story, as far as I understand it, is basically that we got it. So UFS is officially it's part of the official Octagon game feed, and so kind of the person who actually hits the button to ship it out is somehow it's an Octagon person rather than a member of the the broader community. And then that means that we don't have to say, well, okay, make sure to check for updates. It does it all automatically, but it also means we don't have our finger on the button. And so the files have been set up for weeks already, and they've been sent to the guy who puts his finger on the button. They just haven't been pushed out to the broader community yet.
Huh.
So, yeah.
I wonder if there's a way to manually update it then,
I wonder if there is. You could probably. I wonder if you could make a parallel UFS game that then would be just share the game with each other and then do that. You could probably look into that, but it'd probably get tricky because I think that image files are keyed by game ID and stuff like that. All have UUIDs, and so they'd have to be they'd have to be patched. Be a little bit unpleasant, but not bad.
Yeah. I mean, there's certainly options, I imagine.
Yeah, I think actually what some people have been doing is, speaking of patches, some people have been just basically taking old Street Fighter sets and pasting and setting up an image pack that is the new Street Fighter cards, and then just building decks with those, just to work around this. And basically they're building proxy decks just without it through an electronic medium instead of physical cards.
Right.
That's really cool, though. That's actually kind of impressive that somebody came up with that.
All right. Well, now we're let's get back and talk a little bit. That was sort of the Canadian heel turn story of Devin goes to Rochester and everything like that. And I would I would just maybe a little hinting here. I would expect maybe a little bit more of of things like that to come. Maybe just Rochester CCG picking up people unexpectedly. And second off, we're still in talks about it here, but I know that we are going to possibly run it back and try to win another team's championship. And this is fresh off the cuff. These guys don't even know I'm about to say this, but I think our team name should be the Canadian Heel Return. So
is that the Canadian Face Turn?
The Canadian Heel Return.
No, it's the Rochester Face Turn.
Rochester Face Turn, yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, you guys have to redeem me.
We have to redeem.
And then I don't even know. Like, I don't even know if I can heal things. Like I feel like I'm a pretty decent person overall.
This is true, but you're Player of the Year, so you got haters.
Yeah, I got to do what. So what I'm hearing is I have to work harder at being a heel so that I can get some heat, and then I can turn the heat and become a face.
Exactly. Yeah. There you go.
Got to do my job.
You don't get to be champion until you turn heel, apparently.
Let's all talk about the individual arts and everything like that. So, Devin, why don't you start? You're at the far end of the card.
I mean, honestly, like my big thing with the art was like, because we had to sit down. Ein was originally going to do the art for this card, and then Jasko kind of came down and said, "Nah, you got to use our own artists for it." And it's like, all right, well, them's the rules, right? So, which is a shame because I was really hyped to kind of have somebody from the community do the art for our card. But when we had the original sit down with Ein, and we had some stuff where he was just like, this is like what we want with the art. So it was like I wanted the scarf because I love my scarf. Get at me, and I just wanted I wanted to look like how it would normally look, honestly. Just not look too far off from reality, even with like all the champion personas that come out on these cards, which I think is kind of hilarious, honestly. I don't know. I just much rather almost be like able to just not like it's so weird to say like cosplay myself, but like
right.
Just be able to like have just look like myself, really, kind of imposed on the UFS universe. And then the Psyche Flames, because God, I'm gonna miss that character when he's gone so much. Like I don't think I've put as much time into any character as I have into Psyche. Like it's not even close. Just nobody. And I don't like right now. I've been kind of turned off of playing him because I don't really like Negli as much.
Yeah, Negli is kind of against the spirit that you have embraced with all the other Psyche decks.
I think. Like every Psyche deck has like a really distinct. Every Psyche deck I've played had a really distinctive flavor and strategy to it, and this just kind of doesn't feel like a Psyche deck. It just feels like a Negli deck that Psyche is the only character who can really do it with.
Yeah.
And I just don't find it that fun. So I've kind of stepped away from it a bit. I was really hoping I'd get something cool with Street Fighter to be able to play with him. But that never happened. So he's going to rotate with the next set. So he's basically at the end of his life cycle.
You get some hot pulled my trigger action, though.
We should have made the pulled my trigger playable while committed, honestly.
No!
I feel like we could have got that through. I feel like we could have got that through. I was like debating that on and off. I'm like, would we be able to get away with that? I think we could have got away with it.
I think like personally, I would be against that because it's so extremely close to 3 meaningless words. Like it's really hard to get this committed except with Psyche's form.
Right.
And
also, I don't like. I like the idea of people's cards like Defenders of the Empire. Like if we're going in on them, they have the ability to tap our asset and not die, and then we can't play forms. We do think our card is really strong, but we're big fans of like counterplay strategy. So we wanted some counters.
Devin, I think they should house rule it for local play. Or like Psyche only playable while committed.
Or Bishamon. Because Bishamon can commit it for his static.
You're completely
and still
right. Oh my god, Bishamon. He's hit so hard.
Bishamon is my secret pet character. I literally built a Bishamon deck off of Void last night trying to put the card in it, and the name of my deck on UFS Ultra was Still Trying, because I'm still trying to make a good Bishamon deck.
I've played Bishamon. After Psyche, I feel like I probably played Bishamon more than anybody in recent times. Have you played any Bishamon, Kevin?
I've played against Bishamon just a little bit. Playing
Big Lip. To build a Bishamon.
Yeah.
You need to build a Bishamon. He's fun.
He's very fun.
It feels like I just have a really big stick, and then you just like they just block your stick, and you're like, man, well I have another big stick too.
But right? If you're Bishamon, every stick is a big stick. That's the best part of Bishamon.
What a great phrase.
Yeah, speaking of Bishamon, Kevin.
Yeah, absolutely.
What is that armor?
So I am So after I played Ashes Athena, and someone joked, wouldn't it be funny if he was wearing the Athena wig and like dressed up in all of the assets in his deck? And so we ended up only putting 3 of it on there. That's the extensive wardrobe wig of Athena's wig, plus the Hanya suit of armor, and I've got a sword on my back that I'm pulling out and doing my, I have a huge grin, so I have a huge grin on my face. And it's basically the story of the art. Huh?
Needed bear. You had bear, didn't you?
No.
Miska's dog? No?
No, is that even?
No. He played that hot Team Psycho Soldier tech.
Team Psycho Soldier. I think one of the big ones that I probably could have, we could have tried to fit in is I could have La Malta somewhere, somehow. But I don't know what the fuck he is. It'd be like some weird tentacle porn shit with the
thing going. I was reading, so I get this shit. I was reading Darkstalkers lore this past weekend.
God bless.
I have that much time on my hands. And I figured out that La Malta is I don't know if he was picked by Jeddah or this guy that Jeddah took his soul, Ozumu, but he basically sent him along with Lord Raptor to keep an eye on him, and then he is basically actually a spy. So Raptor thinks he's his bro. He's a heel turn. And Raptor thinks he's the bro, but really he's a spy for Jeddah.
The deep cover spy story? Oh my god.
He looks like Dupe from X-Men.
Oh man.
Wow.
Yeah, and I don't know what he is. I just know he's some kind of creature.
Isn't Ozomu like the aborted baby fetus? That's floating in space?
Ozomu was the he was, I guess, king or something of the realm before Jeddah.
Okay.
So basically, I read a lot of it, but it's basically Dimitri and Morgan have been fighting for the realm forever. Their families have. It's a Romeo and Juliet, Montesquieu's and Capulets, families fighting forever. Hatfields, McCoys kind of thing. And then Jeddah comes along and fucks shit up. Basically, he creates a new dimension called Magician. It's
called Magician.
Yeah, and all kinds of stuff.
Supposedly he did that because the original dimension, which was Madaraiku, I think. Which is the asset.
That makes sense.
Yeah. The dimension was folding in on itself and gonna destroy itself. So he kind of built Magician out of necessity rather than just kind of wanting to fuck everybody's shit up.
Yeah, and being a Jedi, and the reason I looked up all this stuff is because I've been playing a ton of the Darkstalkers characters, and I was really watching some Vampire Savior competitive play. I'm just really gotten into the characters, and I didn't know this,
Have you watched the Saturday morning cartoon version of Darkstalkers?
Oh no, but I'm about to watch that after this.
You're gonna watch that. It's so man. Good.
But basically, I knew the card Makai High Noble, but basically, Jeddah is like he's like a nobleman, like he's royalty. So if you see like his jacket, like you can see on Ozomu right there, he has a purple jacket, which I don't know if most people know this, but purple was the color of royalty from back in the day, and it was it was actually the burial color of royalty too, for a little funeral history. And then his jacket also has gold buttons, so it's like that is to, kind of signify his
rank. Yep.
So
got some hot man. Pulled my trigger talk, art talk, storylines, vampire savior lore. We got the whole spectrum, baby.
Oh man.
We need more of these. We need one of these shows about every champ card.
I would love to hear some stories about like what the hell is I want to know what
series called Champ Card Stories.
What is Mike Hardiman's beast animal thing doing? Is that his cat? Just like it's like horribly mutated. It was like
I think it's supposed to be Ukio's dog. Doesn't Ukio have a dog?
He has an apple.
He definitely has an apple. There's like Poppy. That was an old SNK or Samurai Showdown thing. But I think that's Galford's dog actually.
Galford had a dog.
Maybe it's Galford's dog. Who knows?
Nah, this looks way. I don't have the other cards easy to pull up, but Poppy looks way different than Mike Hardiman's card. I think. Maybe I'm wrong. Mike Hardiman, come in the chat and tell us.
It doesn't look that. I see Poppy right now. It doesn't look too different.
Somebody dial up Mike Hardiman. I know we got some UK guys in chat.
I'm 90% sure that's supposed to be Bear.
Why do you like Bear so much?
I know Mike Hardiman really likes Miska.
Oh, okay.
So I'm 90% sure that's supposed to be like Bear.
Maybe Mike Hardiman has his own dog because he's an independent man that don't need no cat. That was a really bad joke.
Yes, it was.
It does kind of have a similar pattern. Like it's got like white fur on its legs and sort of belly, like Bear does.
Like if it didn't look like a cat, I'd say it looks like a husky.
It's got a very cat face. All right. All right. You want to wrap us up with the pull my trigger art, Piglet?
Oh, okay. So the next person is me, and now you'll figure out too, which I didn't really plan for this. I sort of wanted to look like a tactical mercenary, because that's sort of like my gimmick in UFS is that I'm a mercenary. And basically, my vest says RCCG because Sean hired me. And also, we didn't mention this, but originally our card name was going to be Hired Guns. And we'll talk a little bit about the name. We'll let Kevin talk a little bit about that. But basically, I went with this. It actually kind of happened funny where when the artists got back to us with the colored version, I look a lot like the Big Boss Man, like the wrestler. And he's actually also from Cobb County, Georgia. So we're like from the same place. And so I actually thought that was really cool. And I'm holding a shotgun, which is, we all like have a weapon, which is why, the card has weapon. Yeah. And we're also Sean's weapon. Like he bought us.
Yeah. Basically he uses us to destroy other teams.
And then I have a square and compass there on my shoulder, which is because I'm a Freemason. And then I have my cigar and my cool guy shades, and I have the vest, which is similar to Clark wears a vest and has sunglasses too. So we all have a little bit of the character that we played on the card. And then Sean is that's his standard persona. I think he really likes the whole suit kingpin gimmick, which is what we were going with for him.
And he actually literally bought this orange suit.
Yeah,
because of the card.
Yeah.
Didn't he?
Well,
Yeah, like,
because of Rochester
he had the
CCG and the orange
Well-
color theme, but yeah.
I feel like we pushed him out the door a little on that. I feel like
Yeah.
you gotta have this.
And then the next thing too is a funny story. While we're telling stories, it's kind of UFS Sunday afternoon. Is Kevin and I especially, because we had been playing for Rochester for 3 years at the time, and we had the same orange shirts. And Sean didn't like his logo that much, and he wanted to change it. And we were like, well, first off, you should do that, but we want some black shirts with orange writing. Like, that would look badass.
It looks better.
like it makes us look a little more badass. And he said, you know what, guys? How about you guys win, and then we'll talk about it. Well, what was kind of ironic was we ended up winning, and then this year at Worlds, he gets everyone that's won a championship under the Rochester banner a black shirt with orange writing. It's called the sponsored. It's Rochester CCG sponsored champions. So that was a really fun earned reward. That was a year in the making, those shirts. So
that was a big surprise too when I got there and he came up to me with that shirt. He's like, "This is for you," and I'm like, "Wow, this is awesome!" Like, I had no idea you guys had set that up.
I actually have this shirt right here. I had to dig through my,
Yeah, I could have ran off to the.
You guys on the
dug it out.
On the call, I can't see this because I'm not sharing my camera with them, but yeah, it's sweet. All right. So we've got around the ring a little bit now. You want to talk strategy talk on this card? What do you guys want to hit on?
Yeah. Let's talk some strategy. Let's do that. So, of course, we went in a little bit. We're going to talk some strategy. Tell you some of the best things that you can do with Pulled My Trigger, and we basically want people to play the card. We think that the card is really good. It's actually a lot better than what we expected. Like we were talking about, we had that static text for like a block ability, and then we changed the other ability.
Dozens,
at least
probably
10
a dozen times. Yeah,
at least 10.
And that's like
I can name 10 different abilities that were on that card.
Yeah, we had a dozen that we sent for approval. It wasn't like we came up with 10. Like, we came up with 10 in one sitting and then sent one, and it was like, maybe not. And then, okay, 10 more. What's the best one to send that off? Come up with 2 or 3, send those off.
It's a really long process.
Yeah, no, I still have the list on my phone of everything all the potential ideas that we had, which that was at least 20, and we got that when one of the abilities we wanted didn't get approved. So then we came up with another 20. So shape card process can be strenuous sometimes.
You kind of have to conform to sort of like I don't want to say the whim, but the current like design direction that they're trying to go in when you get these cards in. Right. It's like, because more recently they're trying to make the game, they're trying to get to the game to the point where they're comfortable with how long games last. So it became really hard to we almost there was no chance we were going to get an ability through with the intent of stalling the game.
Yeah, we were basically trying to have 2 defensive abilities for a lot of this card, and
they gave us hard no on pretty much every other defensive ability we came up with. They're just like,
And I think actually, now that I'm reflecting on it, I think that we kind of lucked out a little bit because I feel like they might be pulling away a little bit from the very poke oriented direction, and because we saw at Worlds this year, we saw people attacking on turn 1 so often. That happened a lot. This ability, you don't want to play this ability on turn 1. You don't want to play cards in your deck that can attack on turn 1 with this kind of effect. You want to have something that builds up some steam, and then on turn 3 or 4, you get this in play, and now you completely overwhelm your opponent in the one big kill turn, which is kind of the opposite, object level direct victory strategy to poking them once per turn for 5 turns or whatever.
Right.
And so I think
that's how we play locally here to begin with. Is a lot of we don't poke very much when we play locally.
Right.
We do a lot of all-in turns and building up to all-in turns, and then that kind of lends to you can play your all-in strategy, but you can also play like a really disruptive reversal strategy.
Yep.
And that kind of molds how our local meta goes, because none of us really enjoy playing really, really aggressively early. So like, which makes it weird when you have like for the last couple of major events, the meta has been very, very aggressive. And so, we show up with what we think is good, and then it's just like, no. It's like, no.
Reversals are good as long as like step one is staying alive. Like playing the reversals is Steve.
Yeah.
If you stay alive at you've got a great advantage. You've started your kill turn off on a good foot.
You get a momentum out of it. You get you reduce how much you got to count to. You get a lot of the times you're like it turned into you don't lately it's turned into you don't play a reversal if your reversal doesn't affect their killing you in any way.
Yeah, if it doesn't have stun or something.
Yeah, like if they can just eat the damage and keep killing you, that's all what they're gonna do, and you're dead. So you can't just throw a reversal. You have to be a little smarter about it now.
Yeah.
But I think that if the game's going to slow down to the point where we can kind of get a little bit of breathing room, I think reversals are in a really good spot. And our card's really good with reversals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All over the place.
On both sides of the ability. So if you read the E, the E says you can only play non-attack cards as forms. So you only play forms during your turn. Yep. So if you reversal your opponent, this is just destroy a foundation for 3 damage. Which is really, really strong. And if you block with it, then reversal, then they're going to lose a resource to block with it. So, do you guys want to segue into a couple of things to mention, or do you want me to mention a couple of things, or what you guys want to do?
I'm going to bring up a card that I'm sure is at the forefront of all of our minds. It used to be a very heavily played competitive staple that I feel has fallen off in the recent years. I haven't seen it as much as it used to, which is Rain Flush. And we're trying to bring Sexy back with Pulled My Trigger plus Rain Flush in a lot of ways.
Athena was already killing people with Rain Flush. I think this card makes her kill a lot more efficiently with it.
Yeah, we actually saw Slaughterhouse plus Rain Flush bring out a PGC, which kind of takes some of the steam away here. But not a lot of decks succeeded playing that combination, and I think you'll see a lot of Pull My Trigger Rain Flush. That's not only
at Worlds.
Oh, go ahead.
At Worlds, I actually played against AJ Murray in rounds, and he was playing a Ben Shoemaker deck that went Slaughterhouse into Flash Attacks and Scorch Wheel. But now with the Scorch Wheel ban, I feel like his deck could carry on. Like his deck was really good.
Yeah.
And I feel like that deck can absolutely carry on playing Rain Flush instead of Scorch Wheel and still get a lot of value out of that.
Yeah, I'm imagining a turn of Slaughterhouse into Pumped Kneecapper, and then you block it because you don't want to take an 8 damage attack to your kneecap. So you full block it, and they just Rain Flush you, and now all of a sudden you're taking, 9 plus 7 damage? Yeah, bad times.
Yeah, there's a lot of damage.
Yeah, and it's funny that you said Athena, because Slaughterhouse into Rain Flush is already a 2-card 18 damage combo, and if you have Pulled My Trigger in play, it's a 2-card 24 damage combo.
Yeah.
So that deck is already at the forefront of the meta, I think, from Ryan Pham winning with it, and we're definitely giving it a boost. And I don't know if you guys looked at all the champ cards, but I actually think we might be the only champ card in this batch that has Void, which is strange because Lion Stance, they made a bunch of Void cards. Is that true? Do you guys know?
Let me check. I have an imagery album of all the cards, and I'll scan through it. I think we might be the only one with Void. There were a couple symbols that got really underrepresented, and others that got really overrepresented. I don't think any of them had air. I definitely have air personally. My character. Then One-Sided Conversation.
Keith does too.
And Keith, yeah. But actually, no. So my character doesn't, but Grant and Heath do, and my action does. Bring Your Friends, plus One-Sided Conversation. Yeah, but Water, I count 5, 6, 7, 8,
Water and Earth
9, 10, 9 champ cards out of the
16.
What is this, 13 that I have in this pile right here?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, people when you win cards, people put their favorite symbols on them typically, and so I think what you see is a lot of we have a lot of new people on cardboard this time around.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can we're seeing a lot of water, in particular water. I think a couple of them have good on it, which is surprising because good hasn't been really strong for a long time outside of Ryu.
Bite your tongue.
Personally, I've had the not at the front of my mind, but the back of my mind somewhere. I've thought about this, and I think that at some level you want if you want your champ card to be, if you're trying to optimize how good your champ card is, it's in your interest to pick an underserved symbol, because if we could make attacks and Felicia with Navos and Ryujin Kyaku and all these kicks and stuff had been dominating tournaments and were considered the uniform best deck, and they hadn't just nerfed Everhopeful, and we tried to print a kick card or a card that would fit and that would add more to that deck, it would have a much harder time getting through. It might get vetoed because it's making a tier 1 deck even stronger. But when you pick cards on the good symbol, there are no tier 1 decks on the good symbol, especially now that Clark rotated. And so you get a little bit more leeway. You don't have that blocker for it.
Yeah, 100%. And I think we see a lot of Earth cards, which our card also has Earth in this set. And that's just because Earth has kind of come to the forefront of the meta after the Street Fighter set. But Earth has been heavily underrepresented in the past, probably really 2 years. So, yeah.
I mean, honestly, it's just, I think part of that is because of how one-dimensional Earth is, where it's just it's a damage symbol. And so if it can't get damage through, there's no reason to play Earth, right?
Yeah, I've definitely built Earth decks before, and then played one match and gotten I remember I played against Keenan Meadows had a Mega Man deck that was just all reversals and damage, and just it was huge. His character added a huge amount of damage, and this was before Stock came out on top of this. So my deck was all -2s and +1s. And just stuff like that, and it had a little bit of synergy going on. It was a Snake Man deck actually, but I just had no agency whatsoever. I'd play my cards out, I'd hold my blocks, I'd hold the 2 good blocks in my hand, and have my -1s in play. But I couldn't move to a winning state because all my cards just +1'd and stuff. He had a lot more I'm going to reversal and I'm going to have this bigger game plan than this one turn. But I feel like cards like War for Armageddon are going to help, and pull my trigger.
God bless War for Armageddon. I'd be a lot more hyped for that card if I actually liked the symbols on it.
I think, too, Earth sort of has more of an identity now. Now they've sort of committed to the flipping foundations. They sort of started to do it, with War for Armageddon and Callous Leader. And then now that they put in, Pride of the Tribe and Spinning Pile Driver and stuff like that. And of course they had it with Dimitri too, but Dimitri was mainly played off Life, so and sort of Life does it too, but it was
he was sort of a trailblazer too. They were still kind of coming into how what symbols are going to do this, and they were still they still seemed like they were trying to come to a decision.
Yeah, which brings me to, I'll make that into a little segue. Oh, go ahead.
You can even go way back to Soul Calibur 4, the second set, which had Taki in it, who was Air Chaos Life, and she was the original farm flip character.
Yeah, she was the prototype Dimitri, and the prototype Metal Man for that matter.
But while we're talking about flips, we'll talk a little bit about our champ card process. We were actually trying to negotiate for a +2 high block, but they settled on a +3 for us. And this was before we saw a lot of the Street Fighter set. So then a nice combo card with Pulled My Trigger is Pride of the Tribe. So then I saw Pride of the Tribe, and I wasn't as disappointed. I think really all of us are board control players, which is why the block card does what it does. We really enjoy controlling the board. Mm-hmm. And so now if you're playing Pulled My Trigger in your Error Void deck with Pride of the Tribe, and you have to commit cards, so you commit the Pride of the Tribes, and then first thing they do is destroy a face-up ready foundation. So that was a big point in designing this card that I would not budge on, is that I wanted to play Earth and Void, and I want to flip their foundations, but I don't want them to just destroy the foundations I flipped. like that, then the cards are working against each other and not working together. So this is really big where, like, if you have 2 Pride of the Tribes and a Pulled My Trigger, you can like axe like basically 3 cards in their staging area, of like they still have 2 cards, but the 2 cards they have don't do anything.
Yeah.
And I think that's
awesome. I am now on board with this. I was not a fan of Pride of the Tribe, but now I'm in.
We've had guys here playing Pride of the Tribe already. That card is really solid.
Yeah, I'm a really big fan of it too. And while we're just talking about this, the hot combo you're gonna like with it, Kevin, is because I know you like cool interactions that go well together, is Pride of the Tribe and Darkness Within. They both have Life and Void. So they either have to attack you and you block in Pride of the Tribe, or they build and you get discard pile recursion with Darkness Within. So you get them in like a catch-22 where it's like, all right, I'm going to do something good no matter what you do.
Darkness Within is such a tricky, weird little card that, like, I think the big problem with it is that the impact of sculpting your hand before your draw step is so low. Like, you could always just top deck the card you need off the top of your deck anyway. But
true.
Yeah, it's a card I've tried to put in decks before. I think it's actually really good in base, for what it's worth. But I know that's one that's like that's stuck out to me like, wow, this is a very good home. Like, this solves immediate problems immediately. And it's a card. I think it's definitely a card that deserves to see a little more than it gets, I think.
I like it in 5 hand size, actually. I had decent success playing it in Jeremy Ray. I feel like when you play a 5 hand size character, you typically design your deck to use to require fewer attacks than most other decks in any given turn. So being able to sculpt a single attack before your draw step as a 5 hand size seems a lot stronger than being able to do it in a 6 or a 7.
Yeah,
and I played in T-Hawk as well. Same reason.
That makes a ton of sense. And I think that the thing that makes sense about it is that if you look at, well, you're putting 1 card in your hand, like, what percentage of your draw step does that mean? Well, in a 5-hander, it's a fifth of your draw step, but in a 7-hander, it's only 1/7. And so, like, you get, you're just doing, you're having a bigger impact on, and, as you say, you build your deck so you can operate with 5 cards, but now you're selecting one of those 5 cards. It's a bigger proportion of what your game plan can be. It's really cool.
Yeah. But yeah, it's the same thing. I put it in 6 and 7 hand size decks, and I wasn't overly impressed by Darkness Within. I never really appreciated the card until I played it in Jeremy Ray, and it's like, okay, I can kind of see like the value in this for what you want out of this card.
And on an entirely different point, back to Pulled My Trigger. So what you may have seen that keyword line. We have unique because destroying 2 foundations every enhance for 6 damage would be ridiculous, absurd, outlandish. But that weapon keyword pulls a very important piece of weight on top of like just being able to play it to rain flush it. But that is the card that 2 of us played, and all 3 of us would have played if we could, I think. Because if you could cheat this into play with Psyche, you totally would. Which is Hanya.
Yeah.
And if you want to punish...
God, Psyche can't play this.
Well, I mean, you can play double Hanya with Fort Negley, so...
Oh, man.
But yeah, this is... if you can afford to put some multiple 3 difficulty assets in your deck that don't necessarily help you pass control checks, oh boy, blocking with Pulled My Trigger to ready your Hanya and knocking down one of your opponent's ready resources while they're already strained by that +1 to your I call it weight. Just +1 to all of your cards, to all your difficulties. And
it's a turn ender, I think.
Yeah, you can work really hard and not get through it. As I certainly have watched people struggle in game to escape the Hanya weight. They just have to back off.
I want to talk about this because this is something we really wanted to have weapon to have Hanya plays, and it's like Kevin said, one of our favorite cards. So I've been having a big argument over like a group chat that Kevin's in with some Atlanta guys and a couple of other folks, but I don't think the card Focus is very good. And everyone's argument is like, you focus people on reversal and in their turn. And it's like, okay, that's fine. But to focus people on reversal, you need one block. You need one focus, and one reversal attack. So that's 3 cards in hand to end someone's turn. And you still have to pass all of it, depending on what your board looks like.
Plenty of shit that can go wrong. They can cancel any piece of that.
And people mainly talk about it in order decks, and I'm just like, you could just block with a showdown and get a commit 2 of your choice instead of a commit 3 of 1. Well, basically, back to on topic.
But that comes back around to the focus play, because it's a lot more value if you already have stun on board on your reversal, like if you're Mega Man 2 Dot, or if you're playing Student of the Grand Chronicle, like then that kind of changes the value a little bit.
It does, but basically the idea behind this is Hanya and Pulled My Trigger. Like if you take damage, and the symbol it can do it in is Void. So like you damage reduce, and then take your damage in Hanya.
Yeah.
And then you let them attack you, and then you block with your Pulled My Trigger. They destroy 1 face-up ready, and it's already the second attack that they played. So there's a good chance that they might have had to commit a little bit. So then they lose a ready resource, and then you get to re-ready Hanya again. So it's very unlikely that they're going to go for the third attack. And if they do go for it, and you can just take it, and then you get a double Hanya activation, you don't have to really worry about dying.
Yeah.
And a lot of UFS is just surviving one more turn. So that was a really big thing. And why I was bringing up the focus thing is because Hanya stays in play, and Pulled My Trigger is 1 card in your hand. So for 1 card in play and 1 card in your hand, you can potentially end someone's turn.
You can also add Seratanium Blades to that too on Void.
Yep.
I think that's a criminally underplayed card, Seratanium.
Oh, I agree. I love Seratanium Blades. Yeah, we had an idea of that for the card to begin with.
Yep, that was
a similar effect.
Yeah, we had a couple iterations. I think at one point we literally had the text of Seratanium Blades instead of the Yimmerfang enhance on this. Yeah, when they decided we don't want assets that flip themselves, even at a momentum cost applied.
Yeah.
And they also said that it was no one to talk, and that was kind of questionable. That was questionable feedback.
Yeah.
That is not even close.
Yeah, if you all are wondering about like a little bit how champ card design works, and like you definitely like sort of have to go with the idea of like Shane and Jason, the direction of the game that they want to go. And that's like Devin was saying earlier, like they want the game to be a little bit more aggressive. So, and I don't think there's anything wrong with us saying this. Before we made the Yimmerfang ability, we wanted the card to be sort of like Seratanium Blades, where instead of discarding momentum and flipping it, you remove the asset from play, and you choose a card out of their discard pile and put it into their card pool face down. So you could use it on offense. It's basically Seratanium Blades, just it's an asset instead of a foundation, so it has less cost. So you could use it on offense to help get a kill turn, or you could do it on defense, and it's sort of like a Hanya ability as well. So we wanted 2 defensive abilities, and they kind of made it clear that, that card probably slows the game down too much with 2 defensive abilities. So really, we think that we ended up getting a better card because they wanted a little bit more of an aggressive card. Because I definitely think this card, like with the huge damage potential, like this card finishes games for sure, is better than the double defense card that we had before. So, you guys have anything to say about that? Or?
I absolutely agree. I'm typing in chat furiously about how hard UFS is to learn right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like I like the well-rounded card we had. I think we came up with a really good design. I'm very happy with it. With this kind of well-rounded.
A lot of like.
Yeah.
I'm a little disappointed we never got the Deadlock design through, as I think that was really hype.
Oh man, we don't even need to say that because we're gonna try to come back to that. that ability, Deadlock Champ cards is something that they want to do, so we'll be able to negotiate that in time, Devin.
I know.
I wonder if that could be an action. I wonder if there'll ever be another tournament that rewards an action.
Maybe
I don't know. They don't seem to really care for Extended all that much, honestly. I mean, I know like it's Extended doesn't really move any cards for them, so I can kind of see why. But at the same time, like Extended's really just throwing a bone to the guys who've been playing forever, right?
Yeah.
Well, I like the idea of like the Jasko Extended, because then if you're buying Jasko cards, like if you're buying Red Horizon 1 boxes, they're still getting money for Red Horizon 1 boxes.
I think part of the thing is that there isn't a ton of grassroots demand for this. And
yes.
to the extent that there is, it's kind of quiet. You know, I've played some. You know, Chris Smith had a great idea of just building a deck with no ban list and just playing it for funsy games. You could try to win a booster pack off of him, and we took that idea and ran with it and tried to do some side events. But between just card availability and people being busy and whatnot, there has been a ton of attendance at those side events, and I think maybe people are intimidated or whatever too. Maybe.
I think a big part of UFS is the coolest prize in gaming. What we're talking about here tonight is the number one reason people play. And a lot of going to PTCs is getting experience to win that big prize. And I think that makes people a little bit uninterested in playing formats that don't help them get the big prize, or a format that doesn't have the big prize. Like if they announce tomorrow that there will be a Jasko Eternal, whatever you want to call it, format for an action card, like you said, Kevin, in December, then people are going to start playing the format, I think. Maybe not until after Nats, but from October to December, I think there will be a lot of that format played. And I think that's just a huge determining factor of why people play the game in general.
We tried to get some people around here I've tried to drum up some talk about getting people around here to kind of play some version of Extended. Like we hadn't really decided on like whether we were going to follow like the ban, like probably just ban lists from like what was banned in Standard, or to just play the Wild West format that's been plugged here and there on social media. But I mean, at the end of the day, because you just have to kind of get people, I think a good way to get people involved with it is to just kind of like try to entice people with the cards they liked playing back in the day.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to do that.
And I'll tell you format. Go ahead, Devin. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I think part of that is that they do a pretty decent job printing new cards that kind of like hit the same nerve that people enjoyed about a lot of the old cards, right? Like if you have guys that love just playing big damage throws or whatever, like there's always going to be big damage throws. You don't need to go back and play Extended to play that,
right?
Or order lockdown cards where like we loved playing
Directing the Empire.
Directing Empire,
yeah.
Yeah, Directing Empire. That was like one of our favorite cards here. And like, I mean, we don't have to go back to play that because we have S-Class Hunter. We have, you can try to play, like you still have Showdown, Roy, if you want to be like really gutsy about it. Like they do a good job of kind of maintaining a lot of the same theme, like even the symbol identities and themes from old cards, and just kind of mix it up a bit. So I think that's part of the reason why Extended is really difficult to take off with, is that there's a lot of the times the only thing you really get out of Extended is going to be the fanboyism of playing with old characters that you liked. And right now when you're looking at Extended, you're looking at Red Horizon 1, Red Horizon 2, and King of Fighters 13. And that's not really a whole lot to go back to yet.
Yeah, I definitely think that the kind of Jasko sized format is a little bit too small to be interesting, and especially without with the full banned list, like saying everything that's ever been banned is still banned here, and it's especially because there's a huge power discrepancy between those cards that have rotated. The cards in that first King of Fighters block, the first King of Fighters little promo set, Some of those are extremely powerful, like the Stacker Mai, the card Clandestine Research, Contacting Hider, and then on top of that, like that's like of the cards you're adding those cards, you're adding the old champ cards like Lion Stance, like Last Ditch Gamble, like Cataclysmic Force, and then
House.
Yeah, and then that's another huge block of incredibly powerful cards, and then you're adding a tiny little sprinkling of like 4 cards or whatever that have actually rotated out of standard now that are still interesting. Like Shiryu no Mai is another card that's like in this conversation as something that like could shape the format, but it's like 10 cards that are playable in that that are remaining in the just simply rotated out of standard section from Red Horizon, Tides of Vengeance, King of Fighters 1.
Yeah, and I think a format that is a little bit underutilized and kind of underdiscovered, which when I was in South Florida, I met up with Tag and Cody and talked to them for a while, and they were talking about, and I don't know if they're still looking at it, but they were talking to me about what I would think about doing in Old Dogs New Tricks side event at their PTC in South Florida.
I love that format too.
Yeah,
so.
I actually, and I told them about it, and I was like, well, let me build a few decks and stuff like that. And if you don't know what Old Dogs New Tricks is, it's where you play a standard deck with a legacy character, so any character that's been printed. And what they said is they had like a pretty extensive ban list. Like they didn't want any 8-handers to be legal. Like they had probably they probably could have listed off like 100 characters that probably would have been banned, but like there's 1,200 characters probably in UFS history. I don't know.
703 by UFS Ultra.
703
so by
UFS Ultra. So you have 600 choices to pick from, even after 100 character ban list.
Yeah.
Which 100 is on the high end, but that would be my guess because they didn't.
I think having looked into this, I think 100 probably is close to a number you need. I think that it's. I've definitely we've run this a few times before. We've written our own fairly extensive ban lists, and the really tricky thing is kind of if you graded characters on a scale of 1 to 10, you have to ban all the 16s, you have to ban all the 15s, you have to ban all the 14s, and then you get into some really weird situations with like the 13s and the 12s where you can like build combo decks that are built around these weird abilities somehow. And that kind of stuff, as well as the simply very efficient, like super good 7-hand size characters, and it's really challenging. But I think it's probably pretty fun. And I think it might be good for a side event where there isn't a lot of prizes on the line. It might just be fun to see, hey, who showed up with whatever jank. I remember we did one of these at Gen Con one year, and the undefeated winner was someone playing Seth. And I'm gonna pull Seth up for our stream audience.
Oh yeah, Seth is dirty.
So he's got. I'm gonna read him to you because he's got so many freaking words on him. So it says, "Free enhance. Your opponent reveals their hand. This attack is minus X damage to a minimum of 1. Where X the number of cards that in their hand that don't share 2 symbols with their character. So things that only share 1 symbol get -1 for each one of those, and they show you their hand for free. And then he has Argument, Discard Momentum. After they play one of those cards that doesn't share 2 with their character, you discard it from the card pool and cancel its effects. So he's got Counterspell. Yeah, I think it includes blocks.
It does.
Yep. So he punishes you extremely heavily for the fact you're not playing your own character's support, which is impossible to do because the characters aren't legal in standard, by definition. So, like, but on the other hand, he's a 626 who doesn't do that much, so maybe he's fine. We left him legal. We didn't know he existed until Phil Burst showed up and wrecked us all with him. And I was playing some wild nonsense too. Like I was like looping Rising Typhoons. I have no idea. I think it was I think it was actually Good or Earth. It was a wall deck. He had been behind the mask.
Oh yeah.
To tell you how long ago this was.
Yeah.
Well, it's not too long ago. That's only,
3 or 4 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
It's at least 4 years, I think.
Actually, like, when I was looking at playing this format, I was looking at playing Morrigan 2. I thought would be I thought would be a pretty interesting character to play, especially nowadays where it doesn't suck to be a 6 hand size. Like you get a 6 hand size, like it's the same thing. You get characters with built-in damage reduction. From
she was on our ban list.
You did ban that?
Yeah.
Oh. But Seth is okay.
Of course, the deck I immediately built was the deck I won in Extended. I played the 440 Hugo 1 dot. And he's basically a 6 hand size with 40 life. And I basically built, like, the way I won with that deck was I played an Earth Wall deck, and then I off-symboled for Body of Souls. And this was before Street Fighter was out. So I was basically playing an Earth Wall deck with Surveyor and, like, looping throws. But now I would just play Mexican Typhoon. And just Mexican Typhoon people the same way I Sardines people. And then I would also play character blocks, so I could play Kevin's new card, like I did Tag Along. So you can just play a 4 attack deck and recur that and use it with Surveyor and stuff. It isn't a foolproof plan, and like it never was when I played in Legacy either, because there aren't that many ways to protect your momentum. You can play Slithering Serpent and stuff, so like they can discard your momentum and sort of control the game. But
yeah, momentum control is one of those things that's just quietly incredible, but no one plays it. Like
I've been playing the active style, especially in my Jetta decks.
Yeah, Reactive Style is an incredible card. I love that one.
I'm personally a big fan of Soba Freak, like in any deck that plays Happy Feet. Like that's just free momentum denial, and then speed on your Navaz.
Yeah, speaking of Soba Freak, my other, which I haven't fully built yet, but I was looking at some of the new Sagat cards with making a Mr. Karate deck. I really like Mr. Karate too. I really like four-handers, guys. So hopefully we'll get a Piglet four-hander champion card soon. Also, spoiler, I've been told that Goro is a four-hander, which is hilarious because he actually has four hands.
Yeah, you got to do that. That joke's too good to pass up.
Oh man, so I'm really excited to see what he does.
Like that's the first thing. Like you say, Mortal Kombat, we're putting Goro in the set, four-hand size. First thing on the whole sheet. You know, we don't know if we're doing Liu Kang or not. We're doing Goro with four-hand size.
Yeah, but
have they said what game they're going to do for it? Because
it's
to my
Mortal
understanding,
Kombat X.
Okay, so they are doing Mortal Kombat X.
I believe so.
To my understanding, when I spoke to Jason about it, they said that they had the license to make Mortal Kombat had the limitation that for every set they could only include one game.
Okay.
So if they're doing a Mortal Kombat X set, it can only be for Mortal Kombat.
The playmat says Mortal Kombat X on it, like the Scorpion playmat.
Yeah.
It says Mortal Kombat X.
And at the time, that was a super new license. That was a super new game. That was hot off the presses.
Newest Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. It's a little less new now, though.
Yeah.
2 years later.
All right, so let's go back to some pulled my trigger stuff.
Yeah.
And let's one thing
I think we still haven't quite tapped the depths all the way, but we're close.
Yeah.
We're getting close.
And one thing I want to mention, and like I was saying, like I played Yimmerfang and Omar. Omar had a commit ability for damage, and then you would immediately destroy that committed foundation for more damage with Yimmerfang. So this card was also made, which some of these characters are already being heavily played, but it's really going to boost them up a lot. So there are a lot of characters that have commit one foundation abilities that are not played very much just because people think they're too heavy costed because other characters have free abilities and none of them are seven-handers and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So the main three characters on my list are Zangief, Gabrek, and Mega Man 2. So Mega Man 2 has already been having like a ton of success, and his attacks are just going to get ridiculous, but he's mainly played off of order. So Pulled My Trigger could maybe bring him into like a void deck.
I think he's going to start being a void deck because I think a large part of why he's good on order is because you have Jeremy Ray's Foundation, which is the same thing. It counteracts the cost of having to commit a card because you commit Jeremy's card and it readies itself for free.
Right. Which hopefully he does become like a Pulled My Trigger deck. I think that would be awesome. But he's going to be able to output like tons of damage,
Infinite
which
damage.
all these characters are. And then the other characters are throw characters. So you have Gabrek, which I actually think this card has the potential from like no one playing Gabrek to maybe him being like a meta throw deck like Jack Lamborn was.
Yeah.
Like I have one of my main 4X pulled my trigger decks is a Gabrek deck, and I'm really excited to play it and see its potential. And it's a 20 throw aggro deck, and we're going to see how well it does, but it looks like it could really put in some work, and that it is very, very fast. And then, of course, the next one is a character that a lot of people have been really hype on, saying he's been testing really well, is Zangief. So he has similar abilities to Gabrek. Gabrek's damage E is only guaranteed if it's not blocked, but Zangief is guaranteed to give it to the next one. So he's probably a little bit better than Gabrek in that aspect. But so basically Zangief will like start throwing you, and he'll be like, commit a foundation, my next attack gets 3 damage, pulled my trigger, and so does this one. And then you play your next attack, and then you're like, all right, my next throw gets 3 damage, and this one got 3 damage, and then I'm going to pull my trigger, so it's really 6 damage. So, you know, like a tempo throw game is something that I've always sort of played, and pulled my trigger kind of plays into that really well. Yeah, where you can play a nice string and finish the game.
Yeah, I was going to say, the huge damage pumps, you know, I think people are almost like afraid to design them sometimes, because when you're playing a throw deck, even if your opponent blocks every single attack, when you have huge damage pumps like this, you can put them in a no way out scenario where they have to block everything, and it's still not enough. And I think that I think we haven't seen that be competitive a lot. I think in part because there are cards like Leaf Shield around, so that even a 7-hand size character can like get a good draw, and then you play your 4 throws of Doom. They block everything, but they block the last 2 with double Leaf Shield, and then you still can't finish them off. But
yeah, I've been saying this a little bit. I think just because like mainly the last main like really good tempo throw character that was in the format was Jack Lamborn, and after he left, he just had a ridiculous damage pump and way to recur throws. I think people sort of like, and some people played him as a slow deck, but like throw decks turned into like throw decks are the grind game, and there are a lot of people that came into UFS from 2014 to now that like have never really looked at throws like I bet a lot of people were like, wait, what the hell? You're playing a 20 attack throw deck? And it's like, yeah, like the idea is every attack deals damage. So if you draw,
if you just keep playing attacks, you keep making progress towards winning the game.
Yeah, which, speaking of throw decks, shares 2 symbols. One of my favorite cards that pulled my trigger, and I recently found this out, is Maxima Press. So you can play Maxima Press in your throw deck. Yeah, you play Maxima Press in your throw deck, and then you can use the pull my trigger or not, or it's like just a poke until your next turn, and then you immediately build it. So not only is it a throw that's going to deal damage for you, you get to literally put it in my shotgun and shoot it. So I am really hype about that.
Maxima Press really loves getting its damage doubled by pull my trigger up front.
Yeah, baby.
And then you can play that Lilith card, so if they block it, it's going to deal 3, and then you just draw a card.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, that's the secret. That's the secret tech. Throws with new experiences.
I love these little like making incremental advantage. Taking small chunks out of their life total, but also getting other resources at the same time, like getting foundations, getting card draws. That's really fun gameplay in my mind. Because you kind of, if your opponent's playing really tight defense, but they're not attacking you because they're spending all their attacks blocking, well, you're going to run away with the game anyway.
Right.
And
over time.
That's what it's about. It's about running away with games, even if it's in very, very wildly different ways across games.
So we've talked about reversals. We've talked about Hanya. We've talked about Rain Flush. We've talked about Zangief, Mega Man, and
there's a character I'm really hyped to start playing this in that hasn't been brought up. character that I've played for the last 2 major tournaments right now, and that character is Turbo Man, who just recently lost his Scorch Wheel. And I think that Pulled My Trigger gives him a lot more kick on Void than his other symbols.
Turbo Man?
Oh my gosh. I forgot about his committability.
He's a race car, and Pulled My Trigger turns him into a Mack fucking truck. Holy shit.
So, like, that's gonna be the hype. That he turns him into a hype train. Like, that is 2 speed, 5 damage on Turbo Man attacks.
Oh my god, that's so sick! I didn't even look at Turbo Man.
I haven't played him. I haven't played him a whole lot on Void because I found that with Life and All, I really preferred to have Templar available on defense. I think the offensive power offered by Pulled My Trigger is definitely nothing to scoff at now.
Well, and you get a defensive option with Pulled My Trigger.
Yeah, and I think that Turbo Man on Void or Life got a big boost with T-Hawk Slams as well. That's 2 really good options to be able to transform for. And I think
I'm not even sure I'd play slams with them.
Okay.
I
hard transform. So
Stretch Kick is play now.
You got Stretch Kick. You've got Psycho Medley. You have a lot of damage available. Rain Flush him.
Pulled My Trigger into Rain Flush.
Stretch Kick, that's a 6 low for 9 that makes your next move into like at least a 6 speed for 9. Yeah, okay. That's pretty ridiculous.
You go Stretch Kick into Psycho Medley with Pulled My Trigger on board, and they're just dead.
Dang.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's nothing really keeping you from playing like... I mean, of course, it's probably a little different because you can't cycle in all your Silent Assassins, but like building a Turbo Man deck very similar to Athena.
Well, you can still do that with you can use Silent Assassin. You can also use Hi-Fi Stereo, which I've been a big fan of.
Yeah, Turbo Man's form drawback of letting your opponent build one. This card goes great with that because now you can make your opponent afraid to build one.
Because to my understanding, you don't reveal we've basically I'll say form a Turbo Man, and I'll put a card on the table and be like, this is gonna be my card. You got a card.
Yeah.
Right, so that's how I experienced playing against Sid.
And then they choose whether or not they want to drop a card, and then you say, okay, here's my card.
Yep.
And then if it's Hi-Fi Stereo and they build a card, you just pitch another one.
Yeah, how I was playing it against Willie is we would both put a card in the staging area face down, and then we would flip it over at the same time, since technically it happens at the same time.
I think that's how I had played it, because that made sense. But I'm looking at it with fresh eyes, and I think the LGR might actually have guidance on this, which is when an ability does 2 things at the same time, whoever's ability it is, whoever controls the ability chooses what order they happen. So both players, you say, hey, you do it first, then I'll do it. I think that might actually be in the LGR, but that
might be worth putting up on the forums, honestly.
Yeah,
that becomes a lot more powerful.
That makes a lot of cards a lot better if that's how it actually does work. Because I know one of the big ones is Ryujin Kyaku and Towering Over Rivals say both players destroy one of their opponent's foundations. And being able to say, hey, you get to destroy my foundations, I'm going to destroy one of yours. It's a little different anyway. It's a little bit better.
With Ryujin Kyaku, I usually like the way we play it is just active player goes first.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, like these things make sense.
It doesn't make a whole lot of difference, I don't think.
Yeah.
With Ryujin Kyaku, there's very little. Yeah. There's very little that triggers in between those.
Right. Actually, speaking of destroying foundations, Chad did point out, how does Dr. Wily like this card? I think it's certainly got potential with Skull Fortress 2.
Yeah. I like it in Wily 1 with Skull Fortress 1.
Yeah.
That's gonna bring the safety back.
Yeah, that was another thing too. That's been a Devin pet deck for a long time.
That is plus 11 damage on Dr. Wily 1 dot attack.
That is godlike damage.
Plus 11 damage on a spider suplex. That's the literal dream.
Yes.
I almost want to cry.
Yes, he
did it
on 11.
You put it on Gamma Crusher, or as we call it Super Dick Punch.
You put it on Etten Cells. 7 mid for 12. This deck top 4 worlds last year. It was called Bone Man then.
Oh man, now it's called Pulled My Trigger.
Holy shit!
Oh baby, the deeds.
Now it's called Make Sure You Start Bringing Out Your Spine Sweeps and Your Homemade Explosives.
That is godlike damage.
It's true, and he replaced.
And
while you said that, I want to talk about a character that we really sort of wanted to avoid Pulled My Trigger being good with, because we think he's a little broken, and we're hoping that this works out. But the character is Guile, and he can destroy 2 foundations for 6 damage and stun 1, which is really good. And if he gets to late game, he is going to beat your ass with Pulled My Trigger. But our hope is, because we actually think Guile is nuts, our hope is that the game is fast enough where if Guile does that and you can't build any foundations when you're Pulled My Triggering, hopefully he just has no stage area, and
he can't. He doesn't get to use his. He doesn't get to use his R really efficiently if you use Pulled My Trigger.
He has a very hard time building foundations.
Yeah. Right.
You can't play him from his hand anymore.
I don't think it's gonna be like. I feel like Pulled My Trigger with Guile is just gonna be a win more card.
Yeah.
In all honesty, it's gonna be it's really good on the all in, but if your opponent. I don't feel like it's going to add a whole lot to his all-in.
Right.
That he doesn't already have.
We didn't want that. We already think Guile is a little...
It's pretty good.
Pretty good.
I'm gonna say
on the cusp of being broken.
I think Earth is his weakest symbol. That's my honest opinion. I feel like with Order and Good, he's got a lot more options.
I think Order is probably his best symbol, and the reason I've seen is because people will flash kick and then put Clear Cutter into their card pool.
Yeah, Order has a lot of really powerful... It has you can play 12 foundations that don't count to progressive difficulty, either with Clear Cutter or Dragon of Kyokugen or Season Guide, and those work incredibly well with him, especially the things that count cards in the card pool and stuff like that. And then he also gets Rain Flush, and as we've talked about on the show, plus 3 damage to every copy of Rain Flush is a really powerful effect.
I mean, on Good though, on the same note, he gets the White House, which is
it's neat.
I think pretty significant.
Yeah, the big
giving him 7 hand size and then also hating on action cards.
Yeah, Gal doesn't like getting stopped. I think that from a super high, the conflict in my head is between Season Guide and its friend, Clear Cutter and its friends on one hand, and Champion of Southtown in the other. And that's on the other 2 symbols, so Good and Earth both get access to it.
Champion of Southtown.
Incredible.
And Cheerful and Friendly.
Yeah.
It gives you the mini
I played
dial.
against a deck that was playing Earth and then off-symboling Clear Cutter to put it in play with Champion.
I can buy that. Yeah, because you can put it in play 2 ways with Delta Kick or Champion. And then cheat it down with Guile.
Right. Flash Kick, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Put it in with... You can even put it in with Sonic Boom if you're lucky too.
Oh yeah, that's true. Sonic Boom.
So
and I think the last character that I'm excited, a character that I want to come back to, that I play sometimes for fun, with this card coming out, I want to try it in Electman.
All right.
I think that this card offers a little bit of kick for Electman, and on a simpler note, it kind of gives a little kick to Airman as well.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So I think for a long time, both of those characters were kind of underpowered. You couldn't really do a whole lot with 3 speed. With the 3 speed on committing a foundation, it was okay.
Yeah, I think Airman has a hard time finding the damage to finish anyone off, right?
Yeah, and this card gives him the damage.
So
and on the same note, so does Electman. Electman had a hard time finding the damage. My original Death Psyche build was actually an Electman deck before it became Psyche.
This was way back with the moon and the piercing howls and off symbol.
It was way back with the Zealot Rushes and the Hyper Bombs.
Okay. Oh.
That was an Electman deck, and then it evolved over time into Psyche. And he was really fun with Hyper Bomb as well. 6 low 6 hyper bombs were nothing to scoff at. Is basically Chasm Buster.
Yeah, Electman is a perfect character, which I wasn't even looking at this character when we were designing, but like Electman is like a perfect character of like we want Pulled My Trigger to help a character like this, because there are so many characters that have these commit 1 foundation ability that just aren't played because people say that they're overcosted, and then they don't share symbol. They don't share symbol with partners in crime fighting. So it's like, oh, well then throw them in the trash. Well, hopefully now we have 3 opposite symbols. So hopefully more of these commit 1 foundation characters will get played, because now off of half the symbols.
Or the commit 2 foundations characters.
Ooh.
Like say Pyron.
Oh.
The Pyron. Yeah, I was looking at Pyron, but he has to destroy his...
yeah, Pyron burns the candle at both ends, so to speak.
Yeah.
No, he's going to destroy one for Pulled My Trigger, and he's going to destroy the other to pass his checks.
Yeah. Well, hey, if you have enough foundations...
That's like the whole Guile. That's like the whole Guile gimmick.
Dude, we call it the Devin Verdier when you win it 1 life with no staging area, so... That's the game plan.
That's true. Now, here's one thing that I like to go around the table, and well, the quote-unquote table, and see what, because I bet we all have a different idea, and I want to know what you guys think. What is the best character? What character plays Pulled My Trigger the best? Okay, all right.
I'm going to go with Turbo Man. I'm 100%. Okay. I'm going to go with Turbo Man. I think Turbo Man is going to be pretty ridiculous with it, which is good because he lost a bit of ridiculousness with Scorch Wheel. So he's back to not having to just chain out Scorch Wheels to kill you now. Like he can actually play, I guess, quote unquote, fair UFS, but still be really, really competitive with it. I didn't even think of Turbo Man until after we got the card approved. I was like, oh man, this is so good now.
The big thing that's weighing down on my evaluation of this is how much can I afford to play a 3 difficulty asset on turn 1 or 2 too? Uh-huh. And I get so you have to I think you still have to have a game plan if you you have to Pull My Trigger as a block when you build your deck, which I think the fact that you can do that it's good when as a mini showdown, I think that's that's a very big step in its favor. I'm trying to think of who do I think is the best Death, Earth, or Void 5 or 6 hand size character. Might still just be Turbo Man because of the synergy. I think CA might be on the list for the best character to use it because he really likes adding 3 damage to all of his moves.
What about Athena?
She certainly does too. Yeah, who am I getting? Yeah, I think it'd be Athena before C on the Team Psycho Soldier list. Because then Athena can also string out, Athena definitely loves to string out just a pile of Leaf Shields and Kainteki Kotsukens, and she has the tools to set up the 5 or 6 attack turn on top of the Rain Flushes. So that's really promising.
Well, friends in the chat, my teammates completely forgot the original design of Pulled My Trigger. The best character to play Pulled My Trigger in is Caden 3. Every time you attack him, he will block with Pulled My Trigger. You will destroy a face-up ready foundation, and he will add it back to his hand. So if you want to attack him, you're guaranteed to lose 1 card with Pulled My Trigger. And if you want to attack twice, which is still a risk, and then he already struggles with putting damage through, then he's just going to build up a giant staging area and then literally dump it all into Pulled My Trigger damage afterwards. And you know what? Off of Death and Earth, maybe even he plays a little of the Dr. Wily 3/5 that commits to give damage for each card destroyed for the turn. You got a lot of synergy there, baby. Right there. So don't forget about Caden. This card was made to make Caden
great again.
Cuts. Caden was never really great to begin with, but we are looking to make Caden meta. If Jetta is meta, then Caden can be
How about Sasquatch? That's my pick.
So,
Oh man.
Sasquatch likes this.
But what? So does Kate? It was Caden with Pride of the Tribe and Pulled My Trigger.
Oh yeah, baby.
Sasquatch does it better.
Sasquatch does it better?
Yeah. No way. No way at all. Sasquatch does it really good.
You tap down 2 of them up front. Tap down 2 up front, then you make them you tap down their 2 best cards. So your Pride of the Tribes make them flip either their best cards that are tapped and not doing anything right now, or their worst cards that are ready but now they're losing the abilities. And now you make them destroy the best ready face-up one that remains. That's a brutal choice.
It's true.
And then even if you don't use his R commit, like if you don't feel like you have to, you can hit them with the Party Crasher reversal with Sasquatch.
The 9 damage Party Crasher reversal.
The 9 damage Party Crasher reversal.
That's fucking huge.
Y'all Sasquatch decks have too many gimmicks. My Sasquatch deck beats ass. That's what it
Or
does.
the 10 damage Spider Suplex reversal. Or we can go back a little further to one of my personal favorite pet cards that I almost never get to play, the Rising Tackle reversal.
Oh
baby.
We're gonna draw cards, we're gonna drop foundations, and
all
we're
right,
gonna
guys.
space.
We've been at this for well over an hour at this point. Any last words on Pulled My Trigger for the fans?
Yeah, I want Kevin to explain the name in the flavor text.
All right, so when I first won champ, even before I was winning champ cards, I really liked the old cards like Trade Your Passion for Glory, You're the Best Around, No One's Ever Gonna Keep You Down. Those were great. You play them, the whole freaking corner would burst into song. It was awesome.
Happy Holidays. Every time I played a Happy Holidays, I would sing Happy Holidays, Happy Holidays.
Even at Gen Con in 2015, the first event where Summer Heat was legal, Keenan Meadows and I were going back and forth playing an air mirror, and we were singing Summer Days to each other whenever we replayed our Summer Heat.
Keenan would always sing Summer Days when he played Summer Heat.
And so I decided that all of my champ cards that aren't just named Kevin Broberg are going to be named after song lyrics. So bring your friends, and it comes with a price. Those are both song lyrics. It's up to you to find out what they are. People already guessed them on Facebook the day they were spoiled even. And the flavor text is an extra hint because it's like the next line of the song. But so Pull My Trigger.
I feel like that's the easiest one.
Pull My Trigger is certainly, for Bohemian Rhapsody, yeah, it's pretty, Pull My Trigger, Now He's Dead, come on, everyone knows that song. So, yeah, I know, I don't remember exactly what the story was with this. We're going to be hired guns, so we're looking for gun-related
We were going to be hired guns, and we were looking for gun-related stuff, and then you told me about this card gimmick, which I think is awesome. I love it when people can give themselves a gimmick by winning champ cards. It's one of the best, most fun parts of winning in UFS. And Kevin was like, I know we wanted to be hired guns, which was the original name of the card, but he's like, can we make it happen? And then I was just looking through stuff, and, there's all kinds of stuff that's related to guns. And
there's so many songs. I mean, there's so many song lyrics out there. I'm sure, hired guns is a lyric of something.
Yeah, we're all really big Queen fans, and Bohemian Rhapsody to me is probably I think it might be the most iconic song of all time.
It's up there.
I think it's to me, Freddie Mercury is the greatest entertainer of all time. Probably him and Michael Jackson and Elvis Presley, they're up there with some of the greatest entertainers of all time. And oh man, it's just, we're Queen fans, and Pulled My Trigger, Now He's Dead, and we hope people will play it and maybe sing Mama Ooh.
I mean, I would have been perfectly okay with the card being called Welcome to the Jungle, personally.
Oh, that'd have been tight.
That's true.
I don't remember that. I don't think you ever brought that up.
Yeah, you never mentioned this.
I know. I just thought
I did mention Shoot to Thrill, though.
Yeah. That would have been good too.
And I think I've already floated some ideas for what the next card is going to be, which is the hot Rolling Stones lyrics. So
You're gonna have to win one first.
Yeah, we're gonna have to win one first, but we got a good shot.
That's true. But we are the best, so that's why
we were the best. Not this year.
No, Devin Murgia, you're mistaken. I'm talking about the guys in this call that actually, made top cuts in teams this year. We're the best, and we're going into nationals with a special new teammate, and we're coming for you.
I see. All right. It's okay. I've got a ringer. We got this.
Oh, man.
I love teams. It's the best.
It's just the best.
Teams is the shit talk format. It's fantastic.
UFS is just the shit talk game now. It's the best.
It has turned into the shit talk game.
Oh, man. I love Magnus's shit talking video when he was like, if you don't have a shit talking video, you're not shit. That was so good.
Yo, it's falling off though. Like we had like 2 weeks with like at least two or three videos every day.
Oh no.
We're trying to bring it back.
Off the record, I'll have to tell you the whole plan of the next video that's going to be done very soon. Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to see it. And with that, I really have to go to the bathroom.
Oh, man. Well, thanks for tuning in tonight, guys. We hope you Pulled My Trigger.
Yep, and
we hope you have fun playing it.
Yeah, we hope you have fun. We hope it brings you positive experiences, brings your opponents much suffering and misery. Oh, that's really what we're about.
I want to give a quick shout-out, too, because it was really funny. On UFS University, they were having an argument on... not Man Behind the Mask. My Beautiful Face is Ruined. Yeah. And they were talking about the R on it. And Tam was like, I don't know if you ever really want to block with this card that much. Like, if they had to destroy a Ready Foundation, it would be much better. Well, here you go.
Here you go.
Got you, boys.
Play some Pulled My Trigger in your Vega deck. Shut them down, baby.
Block with both. Block with Final Betrayal. Just... fuck their turn up.
Review that Black Justice. Just do everything. Just give them the works. Give them the works.
All right. I need to take this phone call, guys.
All right. That's the street, boys. Thanks for joining us.